Houston, it's crunch time.
It's crunch time here in Clarksville, Tennessee. Jeff Matthews, Bree Houston, once again coming to you from the studios of 91.9 FM. Bree, a lot of things going on in the football, basketball, baseball world, but before we get to that, have you been enjoying this weather?
It's fall. It's actually fall.
It's actually fall.
I'm surprised. I'm happy we don't have to deal with the blistering heat. Like walk outside and drenched
Exactly.
already.
I know, right?
From nothing.
It's cool. I went and played golf and didn't sweat the other day.
It was cool to the point where it's time for hoodie season. I love hoodie season.
Right, who doesn't, right?
Sweater weather. Say that 10 times fast.
I couldn't even
Sweater
try.
weather.
Well, let's go ahead and dive into some high school football scores. We're going to pull the graphic up, and we'll get started. Follow along with us. Clarksville Northeast 44 to Clarksville's 14. Davidson Academy, great team. I've watched them play a couple of times. 56, Clarksville Academy 7. Dyer County 42. Over Clarksville Northwest 14. Greenbrier 21. Montgomery Central coming up with nothing. Comes out with a 0. Harpeth 28, Sycamore 18. I was at that game. It was a spectacular game, just not even looking at the score. Kenwood 42, West Creek 12, and then Rossview 22, Mount Juliet, my alma mater, 14.
Oh, wow.
Not coming in.
So who were you going for? Well, did you believe that you guys would be beaten by Rossview?
I will say after previous years, Mount Juliet does have a leg up in that race, but I think two late fourth quarter touchdowns by Rossview's quarterback definitely did not help the Bears get the dub on that Friday night. I will say that.
I'm gonna be honest. If I were you, I probably wouldn't feel too good right now. It was an upset, just being honest.
It is.
It was an upset. No one expected Rossview to win.
Exactly.
I didn't expect them to win. Mount Juliet 5-0.
Right.
Undefeated coming into the game, 2-0 in the region, and Rossview's like, we don't care about none of that.
That is true. But one thing, so when I was at Mount Juliet and then being here in Clarksville covering high school football, there is one thing about it that is it is a different level of football. It seems in Wilson County there's a little bit, I don't want to say better because I don't think that's the right word for it. I think it's a little bit more competitive. And then this past Friday to see Mount Juliet take a loss from Rossview.
Yeah.
My alma mater.
Take your competition that you think is so much
Yeah,
better.
I know,
and
right?
Let us show you how we do it here in Montgomery
Not
County.
too great. But we're going to move on. We're going to go on to the next topic, and that's going to be some SEC football. And I'll be honest with you. We'll get to it in a second. But Tennessee fans, kind of happy with the season right now.
I bet they are. They're standing on top of Rocky Top right now.
Oh, absolutely. We'll bring up the graphic. Go ahead and follow along. Florida 38, South Carolina 24, Alabama 52, Texas A&M 24, Mississippi 42, Kentucky 41, Georgia 27, Auburn 6. That actually did shock me. I expected Auburn to at least get over 15 on that one. Arkansas 21, Mississippi State 14, LSU 41, hometown Vanderbilt 7.
That's the Vanderbilt we know.
There it is. Tennessee 14, Missouri 12, TCU and Texas. TCU takes the win 33-31, the upset, in my opinion, of the SEC.
Definitely an upset. But the game that stuck out to me, of course, again, I'm still stuck on UT UK. And last week we talked about how UK was a disappointment.
Right.
And once again, I'm disappointed in UK. Overtime, on paper, this looks great. Overtime.
Oh, absolutely.
41-42, but if you actually watch the game, it's crazy. A.J. Rose starts out first quarter. He celebrates too early. He has a rock in his hand. He's running. He breaks a couple tackles. He breaks down. He rolls to the left, cuts up the middle. He's gone. He thinks he's gone. He holds up the deuces. He's gone, right? No, put those deuces down, son. He gets brought down at the 5. Then he's trying to, at the goal line, of course, score, fumbles the ball. And if anything, this was foreshadowing on how the rest of the game would go for UK. And it's just a disappointment that Come on now. You're right there.
Right there, and yet
You're right. So far,
so far away.
I'm wondering if you didn't take that energy, the extra energy to throw your hands up, because you're slowing yourself down. Physics says.
Oh, I know.
You slow yourself down. Like, if you just continue to pump your arm, would that be the difference between a win and a loss, and actually even going into overtime?
Oh, absolutely. I think it would have been for
So
sure.
Is this all A.J. Rose's fault?
Ooh.
I don't know if we could put it all on him, but we can say that he caused
definitely a huge missed opportunity.
Yes, and he is the cause of it. Don't show out, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Stay in school, do your homework.
You can show off when you secure the touchdown.
You celebrate after you cross the line, not before you do that. Before you break the plane, there's no celebration.
Absolutely not. Well, we're gonna go ahead and move on to the NFL. We have some. How do I say this? Weird, kind of disappointing for me weekend in the NFL. But we're going to start with the Tennessee Titans. Tennessee Titans did not play this past weekend due to COVID incidences. They had a few players and a couple of administration personnel come down and tested positive with COVID. But I did just read today that they are planning on opening their facility back up on Wednesday because now everybody has tested negative. They are back at that negative.
That's quick.
Test.
I guess if they do the rapid testing, the 3-day testing.
Right. It is kind of quick, but then, I think what's interesting is, I don't know. This kind of goes into a field that I can't really touch on, which is like the medical field.
Yeah.
Like I can't talk too much about that because one, I didn't study that. Two,
yeah, we're comm majors for a reason.
Exactly. But one thing's for sure. I mean, I personally do believe that COVID is real. Like it's an actual thing.
There's too many people who have lost their lives for us to sit here and say it's not real.
Exactly. But I am curious to see the longevity of the virus of people who come down with it and are able to kind of beat it, I guess is a way to put it.
Well,
right?
prayerfully they come up with a vaccine and we can move forward and we don't have to worry about COVID protocols, which the Titans broke the league COVID protocols, and that's why 20 people tested positive. The league said they were going to make an example out of the Titans, so we'll see what kind of fines go down because the first week of the season they were handing out fines left and right, $15,000, $10,000 for coaches not wearing their mask, pulling down their mask on the sideline. So there's going to be some.
I mean, the NBA was suspending players.
That's crazy.
And people were actually being kicked off teams in the NBA for bringing people into the bubble.
Yeah, you got to think. You can't be that selfish. You're bringing other people's health at risk, and other people have children. They have wives that they go home to. Some even might have elderly family members, and you can cause all of that to come into jeopardy by being selfish for a moment of time that you feel like you cannot live without.
Oh yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see where we kind of go in the next few weeks, months, even possibly years. I know President Trump has talked about a vaccine becoming available in the next couple of weeks, or in the next couple of months, I should say, but those things take time, and what we just don't know. And like I said, I can't touch too much on it because I am a comm major. But we're going to go ahead and move on to the disappointing factor of this weekend for myself.
Fix your face. Your whole face. Just fix your face. How much more disappointment will the Cowboys take in their fans?
I'll tell you this much.
America's team, right?
They'll always be America's team.
Okay.
But I will say this.
Now, America's losing team.
That's a true statement. 1-3 on the season. Browns versus Cowboys. Browns take the win, 49-38. Oh, that hurt. Baker Mayfield, 19 for 30, 165 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jarvis Landry actually did have a pass to Odell Beckham to open up the scoring early in the first quarter. Odell Beckham, 73 rushing yards, 81 receiving yards, and that was just I read those numbers, and those are kind of the three biggest players for the Browns, in my opinion. But I say those numbers, and they're pretty good. They're decent numbers, right? They're not like horrible numbers. That's a respectable game.
Yeah.
But then I hear the Cowboys numbers. Dak Prescott, 41 for 58, 502 yards. Yes, I said that correct. 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. Ezekiel Elliott, 12 carries, 54 yards. Amari Cooper, 12 receptions, 134 yards. CeeDee Lamb, 5 receptions, 79 yards. And then Dalton Schultz, 4 receptions for 72. And then Ezekiel Elliott in the receiving game, 8 for 71.
So this is something I can touch on because I am a comm major. All of the nonverbal cues that you just sent out while reading those, they were not really good. You showed me some negativity. You were upset. The way you read that in your tone, I can tell you are not happy. Something is wrong. What do you want to talk to me? Talk to Dr. Bree. What's going on?
Dr. Bree. Well, what's wrong is Dallas doesn't have a defense. None. 0 defense.
So you're blaming this all on the defense. You're saying the offense
100%.
has everything in line. Everything is
100%.
clicking. So it's all the defense.
Oh, I mean, come on. You can't say these numbers for many quarterbacks.
Yeah, that's amazing. 41 for 58.
And
That's almost double what Baker Mayfield.
What's crazy is this is the fourth game that Dak Prescott has thrown over 400 yards this season.
4 touchdowns, 1 interception. Yes, you would want to go without the interception, but you really can't make anything better.
The interception almost becomes obsolete because of the rest of the numbers. Like, you give up 1 touchdown, okay, fine, out of 502 yards in the passing game and over 100 yards in rushing. I mean, come on.
So the way the Cowboys recover is fire everyone on defense.
Get rid of everybody. That's all I said.
Oh,
no, I'm kidding.
Everyone.
Maybe not everybody. But it does hurt that we have players on the defensive team that are not playing. I say we. I'm not a Cowboy.
But you're a fan, so you feel a part.
Exactly, right.
And you feel really upset. That's what your nonverbal cues are telling me. You're upset and disappointed. You're let down.
Thanks, Bree.
Sorry for overanalyzing you on air.
Happens to the best of us. But the number 1 player on the defense for the Dallas Cowboys that's out right now is Leighton Vander Esch, who's the linebacker who has kind of come in and taken the role that Sean Lee had. Even though Sean Lee is there, but he got hurt, I believe. He's out for a few weeks. But Leighton Vander Esch was kind of like the successor of Sean Lee, who has been a staple in our defense. And he got hurt, so he's out for, I think, 5 more weeks. It's just been rough. And
it's just injuries that has plagued the organization.
Kind of, but I don't want to talk too much more about the Cowboys because we got a couple more things to talk about. So we're going to jump over to the Jacksonville-Cincinnati game. 33-25. Joe Burrow getting his first NFL win of the season and his career.
That's right, and he's the first rookie in NFL history to throw for over 300 yards in 3 straight games.
I mean, he has been a very good quarterback for these Bengals, and I'm really excited to see where he kind of goes. I mean, I think that the Bengals in a couple of years, maybe not this year, but could be a really good team. I mean, here's some statistics of the game. Minshew, 27 for 40, 351, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. That's respectable. Again, you don't want to see those interceptions, but, give or take, you're going to throw 1 every few weeks at least. But then you look over at Joe Burrow, 25 for 36, 3 for 300 yards, 1 interception, 1 touchdown. And then Joe Mixon rushed for 150 yards with 2 touchdowns. I mean, those are respectable numbers. I think it was a fairly good game. But Joe Burrow has a lot of work to do for this season if he wants to kind of make a push for a playoffs for his first rookie season.
All right, so we talked about this team last year. They tied. And we talked about how they were 0-2-1. Now they can move up in the column 1-2-1. But Joe Burrow, he's a special type of player because he's a Heisman winner. He won the Heisman when he was in college. And I just think it takes time to transition from college level to the NFL. You have bigger players. They're stronger. Their football IQ, higher. The competition level is just going to go up. So I think he will become a winning quarterback in the league. It just takes time, like you said. On the year, though, he has over 1,100 yards, 6 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. His QBR, 53.6, that's 20. He's ranked 24th in the league for his quarterback ratings, which is really good. I mean,
as a rookie quarterback,
yeah.
I mean, there was also a lot of expectations for him coming into this season, coming from LSU just off of a national football title. I mean, the expectations are large. And I feel like if you're in that position and you get put on a team like the Bengals, who have struggled the past few years. Well, I say they struggled. Andy Dalton, who was the quarterback before Joe Burrow, I mean, he was able to take him to the playoffs on multiple occasions. Just couldn't really get past that first round.
Yeah, it just takes time.
Right.
And then it might take 2 or 3 years because there's the sophomore slump. It might happen. Some players get it, some players don't. So it's just time that's gonna.
But
tell
overall, I think Joe Burrow is on the right path, and who knows? He might end up somewhere else in a couple years on a different team with better fitted players for him or surrounding him, where he can have some success and make it into the playoffs, maybe make a Super Bowl run. I don't know. I think he's a good quarterback. I think he has a lot to learn, obviously, being a rookie. But overall, I think it'll just be interesting to see how he develops as a football quarterback. All right, moving on. Tom Brady. Los Angeles Chargers versus Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay takes the win, 38-31. Justin Herbert threw 20 for 25, 290 yards. That's just for the Chargers. That's really respectable, to be honest with you. Only missing 5 incompletions, but you still threw for 290. Not horrible. Tom Brady, 30 for 46, 369. 5 touchdowns, 1 interception. On that interception was a pick six. Here's an interesting stat, and I didn't realize this was. I feel like everyone talks so highly of Tom Brady, as they should. Not many players can say that they have as many Super Bowl rings as he has.
That's right.
However, this was an interesting stat. In the past 6 games, he has had 4 pick sixes.
Can we equate that to age?
How old? I don't know how old Tom Brady is at this time. I think he's in the 30s, right?
But I'm just saying, I don't know. Like, you pike and then you slump. So, like, is this the beginning of the end for Tom Brady is what I'm saying.
It very well could be.
This isn't the Tom Brady we know. He doesn't.
Oh, no.
He doesn't throw pick sixes.
No. Well,
4 in the last 6 games.
Well, it's also interesting because, I mean, you move to Tampa Bay. Next thing you know, I mean, you're on a new offensive system, new offensive coordinators.
That is true.
Right. He's so used to the New England system with Bill Belichick. Now he doesn't have that. You know, the only thing that he has from New England is Rob Gronkowski. And that's it.
Right.
So could we be seeing the end of Tom Brady? I'm okay. This is how I see it. I think this is it's so interesting because I think it's kind of a case of Brett Favre. Brett Favre went from Green Bay, went to Minnesota, then went to the Jets. I think he went somewhere else after that, and I think he ended it at the Jets. Very interesting situation for Tom Brady, and I just think that in the next 2 years he's going to be done.
I mean, that's fair because at the end of last season we were hearing about how he's going to retire, but retire and become a coach in speculations was that he was going to coach for the Titans because
I don't think that'll happen.
Well, that was one of the rumors that was going on last season when it ended.
Okay.
So I mean, we don't know. It's hard to predict.
Right, it is. I don't necessarily see Tom Brady becoming a coach.
Me either.
I don't. For some reason, you know how sometimes you can look at somebody and be like, "Yeah, I can see that happening." I just don't get that from him becoming a coach. Like I don't see him standing on the sidelines with a headset, and I just don't see that happening. I could see him becoming maybe an analyst.
Yes, because he has so much knowledge.
I mean, he has so much knowledge. I think he could be. A case of, Tony Romo. Tony Romo played quarterback for so many years with the Cowboys and then went to become an analyst, and he has been probably one of the best analysts for the NFL. I could see that happening with Tom Brady, but I don't see him becoming a coach. So we'll see what happens with that. But like I said, I think we're on that downhill of Tom Brady. But to switch topics, what else is going on in this world? Well, so many sports.
That's right.
Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball is in its postseason finally. And Well, it's going to be kind of interesting to see how this all kind of goes around. Some of the notable things that's happened in that first round: Braves beat Cincinnati Reds. Cubs lost their series to the Miami Marlins, which was interesting. So the Marlins and Braves will play each other. Dodgers and Padres. I kind of expected that on the opposite side with the Padres and the Cardinals. I expected maybe the Cardinals to kind of put more up, kind of come out on top, but the Padres took it. I think it was a pretty even match. So Dodgers will play a series. Miami and the Braves will play a series, who I believe the Braves are playing right now. And then those two will play for the National League Championship game. Over on the American League side, Tampa Bay Rays and the Yankees will play and determine who will play against Astros or the Athletics for the American League Championship. And then, well, by next week we should be able. We'll know who's going to be going into the World Series. But a lot of things going on in Major League Baseball. It is going to be a fun time. I love postseason baseball. It's always just exciting for me, anyway. I've always been a Braves fan. I've always been a baseball fan. But I'm glad that the postseason's back. It's been a weird season, 60 games.
Yeah, 60 games all crammed in. And it's crazy because when we compare their league so far to everyone else's, everyone is getting 10, 20 games in, and Major League Baseball has 60 games, which they always have so many games anyway. So it was just great to see. But also, I know the commissioner, he's still fighting to get the crowd into the stadiums for the playoff season, for postseason.
I think he would love it, but I just don't think it can happen.
I don't know. I'm such...
Well, Tennessee came out and said that they're going to start allowing fans in football stadiums and going to games. I don't know when that takes effect, but...
certain teams have a different number, a different percentage.
Right.
I know the Titans, I think they're up to 20%. It's just weird. I watched the game last night for Monday Night Football, and they didn't have anyone in the stands. And I guess I'm a sucker for the crowd noise when you can turn to a game and you hear the crowd going crazy and you can feel the energy from the game. I love that. And, that's why I guess I appreciate the artificial crowd noise at the NBA games. You cannot tell a difference. Sometimes I'm watching the game and I have to remind myself, like, wait, there's no one there.
Yeah.
They did a really good job. At first, it was too loud sometimes or too low. It was above the announcers, but they got it just right. And one of my things I'm concerned about is how college basketball will go if we have a basketball season, because sometimes when I turn to a game and I just hear squeaking, like, I want to hear the crowd. I want to hear what they feel, the emotions that they're giving off. So if I don't, sometimes I turn to the next game like, okay, let's see what crowd is better.
Exactly right.
Yes.
Well, I have heard that there will be they're still trying to figure some things out along how they can make things happen for a basketball season. But they are there's some areas thinking about trying to do a bubble situation and seeing if that would be a possible route to go. With that, though, I mean, I don't think that many schools have
the
artificial crowd noise available to them. I mean, I guess the one way that they could do it is just taking game footage from previous games and stripping the audio from that and trying to see if that could work. But
I don't think so, because every game is different.
That is true. Every game is very different. So they're going to have to figure out a way to I think it has made things a lot better in some senses to watch games. Baseball, they have artificial crowd noise. Football, they have artificial crowd noise, I believe. And then NBA has had the artificial crowd noise. So I think
the NBA actually started with the artificial crowd noise, and everyone else followed.
I think you're right. I think it adds an aspect to the broadcast that you can't get without it. I mean, no crowd, it's just low energy.
Yeah, that's true.
Like super low energy, and then next thing you know, you're just kind of watching a silent film.
And I know that has to be difficult for the players because you feed off of the energy that the crowd gives you. And I played basketball and I played sports in high school and in college, and that's why coaches will say, especially for basketball, you have to cheer for your team. Make sure that you're loud. Make sure that you're clapping and all of that, because when you're on that court, on the field, you feed off of the energy from surrounding people watching.
Oh, absolutely. And with that, talking about the crowd noises in the NBA, we're going to jump into the WNBA. Storm versus the Aces, the finals.
That's right. The WNBA, they go best out of 5 for their finals. Right now, the Storm are up 2-0. Actually, they played their last game. They beat the Aces 104-91, and it was pretty much a Breanna Stewart show. She was everywhere on the court, from the outside, hitting, knocking down threes, driving, pulling up, anything that she wanted to do pretty much. So let me read off her stat line and a few others. Breanna Stewart, 21 points. Alicia Clark, 21 points. Natasha Howard, 21 points. And it was all served up by Sue Bird. She had 10 assists. But Sue Bird, she knows how to win. She's a vet. She's been in the league for a long time. And I'm pretty sure she's coaching these girls and these women, and telling them, actually cultivating an atmosphere, a culture to win. Sue Bird has 4 championships, and actually they play tonight at 6. And if they win, this will be, or she has 3. If they win tonight, it will make 4.
Well, it should be quite interesting. Like you said, a 4th title if they win. Always want to go for the big numbers, right?
Of course.
So with the WNBA now we got to switch it over to the NBA. A lot of controversy of the last game, but Lakers still up 2-1. Miami did get a win, 115-104, I believe. Not last night, but the night before last.
Yeah.
And then they will be playing tonight.
That's right. Last game, LeBron had 10 points, 10 rebounds, 8 assists. And let me read off Jimmy Butler's stat line. 40 points, 11 rebounds, 13 assists. However, everybody else on their teams had less than 20 points. So it was not a really good game for anyone else on either team.
No, but the big controversial topic of today, LeBron walks off the court early.
Yeah, okay. Everybody always overanalyze what this man does. He can pick his two with his toothpick from the inside of his mouth instead of going to the the outside, and it's a headline.
Well, you have to understand, every professional player who has ever done something like this has gotten backlash for it. If you remember years ago, Patriots versus the New York Giants in the Super Bowl. Giants win the Super Bowl, and the Patriots walk off like almost early. I think Tom Brady walked off early, and he got backlash for that. Des Bryant from the Dallas Cowboys, he walked off early. He got a lot of flack for that one. Told that he was leaving his team high and dry. So everyone gets it. Everyone who has done this gets it. That is my stance. So, in my opinion, should he have walked off early? No, I don't think he should have. But
everyone's making a big deal out of it as if it was a minute on the clock. It was 10 seconds left on the clock. 10 seconds. He was still standing outside. They make it seem like he was already in the locker room taking off his jersey and his shoes. No, it was 10 seconds left in the game. What could they do? They made it seem like there's a minute and he already gave up on the game. What can you do in 10 seconds when you're down by as many as they were? Nothing.
I hear what you're saying.
I just hate the fact that they overanalyze everything he does and then compares it to Michael.
Well, it has been an interesting season for NBA. LeBron really trying to come out with a finals win against Miami and Jimmy Butler. But, the biggest thing is, the Kobe Bryant. I think he really, we've already talked about this a little bit. I think he's playing for Kobe Bryant on this one, playing for himself a little bit as well, showing that he can be who he is, not everyone holding a Michael Jordan light against him. And I think that's kind of the biggest thing.
Yeah, he's always playing for his legacy, but on top of his legacy, he has other things that he's fighting for.
Exactly. Well, that is going to kind of wrap it up here for this week's Crunch Time. It has been exciting. It feels like sports are just back in action. But we will talk more about Major League Baseball finals, NBA finals, and all things sports next week on Crunch Time.